Well, welcome to Cars, Shops, and Collections, and we're at Mecum 2023 in Las Vegas. And look who it is. It's the Professor, John Kraman. It is good to see you, buddy.
Hey, Jay, man, always a pleasure. Really looking forward to spending some time with you here.
Well, we love you. We love your knowledge.
Right back
we love
at
watching you on MotorTrend with Mecum Auctions, but it's kind of a tradition now. You and I just walk and talk the auction floor.
Yeah.
And let's start.
Well, it's really crazy, you know, 1,000 cars here selling over 3 days. And what I think we're gonna see, just a little bit of a sampling for your viewers, is the incredible variety we have this year. Well over 100 years of automotive history on display here. Everything from late model cars all the way going back to vintage cars and everything in between, my friend.
Ooh, we got everything. Let's start right behind here. What are we looking back here? It's not a Barracuda.
No, it's not a Barracuda, but it sure looks like
yes.
Good eye on that. This is essentially a brand new 2022 Dodge Hellcat Challenger SRT that's been reimagined with a carbon fiber custom body to look like a 1971 Barracuda.
That's what I thought what it was when I first got here. I'm walking across the floor, I'm like, oh my gosh, look at the Barracuda. And I get here, I'm like, wait a second.
Yep, distinctive parts, obviously, the grille, the fender gills, all of that stuff indicates 1971 Cuda. And even the color, that purple, kind of harkens back, it's a custom blend, but it harkens back to a color that Plymouth was called in violet, that real bright purple. Oh. But this is like in violet with an attitude. And it's an incredible build. It's actually on display here at the Las Vegas auction. Folks can come and see it, but it's actually not selling until our Kissimmee, Florida auction in January, representing the world's largest collector car auction with 4,000 cars. Yeah, but that's down the road.
That's down the road. I think Vegas is huge with 1,000 cars, 4,000 down in Florida. It's bonkers.
Yeah, this is a huge auction. All right, you like Broncos, yes. you like new Broncos, you like vintage Broncos, who doesn't? These right now, these are absolutely at the top of the collector field game. Vintage Broncos, especially the first generation Broncos, which were 1966 through 1977. Now we're going to look at just a variety of them here. Some are stock original in their presentation, some are mildly modified, and some are modified to an extreme. This has developed into one of the hottest collector vehicle segments. Been happening over the past 6-7 years. Frankly, I didn't see it coming, but it is here and it isn't going anywhere. Add to the fact that over the past couple of years, Ford has brought out their new Bronco after a long absence with a definite retro style, and it's been a hot seller and a big winner, and we've got them all.
You do have them all. Okay, so with classic Broncos, let's work our way down here. Yeah. Bronco, Bronco, Bronco. Tell me about the Camaro here. I love this Camaro.
All right, so 1969 Camaro, a lot of people feel like that is the quintessential look for the Camaro. But a trend that we're seeing more and more and more all the time is to retain that vintage look like this one has, but upgrade, we call them resto mods, to the hilt. Modern era LSA, which is an LS-based Chevy crate engine, upgraded suspension, braking, gauges, air conditioning. The list goes on and on to make this car drive and perform with anything that's available on the market today, but yet retaining that vintage look. Another really hot market segment.
Gorgeous, gorgeous. Now over here too, also resto mod then too, right?
Yep, and right next door, the same thing. Now we jump up a generation, going from what's referred to as the first generation of the Camaro in '69 to the second year of an all-new body style. This is a '71 with the same kind of a similar treatment, although the colors are completely different. Getting away from sort of the stealth black into a very vibrant orange color.
It pops.
Yep, and all of these cars, the cool thing about these, AJ, is these cars are all different. When you restore a car back to original, you restore it back to the way that it was. So you're in a box. But with these resto mods, the total opposite. Anything goes, it's a blank slate, and it's fun to see the ideas and the craftsmanship of these modified cars, especially when they're next to a car that is in more of an original.
Yes, 1970 Challenger RT. This thing looks to be all original.
Well, and that's where the contrast comes in. First year of the legendary Dodge Challenger, by the way, 1970, and in that iconic plum crazy purple. Now this has got that 446 pack, that's 390 horsepower, out of that big wedge Mopar engine. A lot of style with the convertible. It's a great color, and it's in a line here of some really cool vehicles with a tremendous amount of contrast, going from the Broncos to the resto mod Camaros to a stock original restored classic, a '70 Challenger RT with a desirable convertible. That is a big deal.
Notice, yeah, it's the convertible. Oh my gosh, this is super rare then.
Yeah, get that top down, cruise around.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't even notice the soft top there. Let's cross over the red carpet here. Lance, come on over here. When you're there watching the auction take place, how often are you tempted to reach into your wallet and place a bid on a car?
Every time, and I'm
Every
not kidding.
single one, every single one?
I've been doing it, Matt. I've been on TV for 16 years covering the action for Mecum, and early on I had to identify what were important collector cars in my personal life and acquire those, which I have. A couple of them through Mecum Auctions, in fact. So now it's like I'm content with what I have. I'm very lucky, and now I just get to look at and be immersed and enjoy.
Watch it, they see you doing the coverage on MotorTrend. What do we have here?
Well, yeah, you know, Oldmobile, an unlikely source for performance cars, kind of known as an old man's car, but because beginning in the mid-60s through the early 70s, all the manufacturers wanted to get out of the muscle car craze, including Oldmobile. They called their hot car the 442. Kind of a sporty name. This particular car really stands out because of the color combination on it. The black with that white interior with that gold striping. Cosmetically, this car is just a showstopper all the way. And oh yeah, it's a performer too. It's not all about just good looks. It can back up, yeah, it can back up the look.
Over here on the side too, I just now noticed the Judge package on the Pontiac.
So this would have been GM corporate cousin, Pontiac, to the Oldsmobile. This is what Pontiac did in 1970. This is what Oldsmobile was doing. The Judge was the top of the line in the Pontiac GTO, which all the way back to '64 really invented and kick-started the muscle car craze. And Pontiac was always resetting the bar. In '69, they came out with the Judge with wild graphics. Keep in mind, that was a period of time where the pop art graphics were part of our pop culture. They were very popular. And really, nobody did it better than Pontiac to kind of blend and mesh that, especially when it's against this green color with that bright green and the yellow graphics. And they were stout. They had a Ram Air 400 cubic inch Pontiac engine as standard, putting out 366 horsepower. Once again, it's got the looks and the power to back up that look. Very popular.
I love the logo, the Judge, the 1970s feel to it, the way it's just written out like that.
Here comes the Judge. Here comes one of the taglines.
Let's just make our way down here real fast because you're a busy man, but what's stuff that's jumping out to you? I mean, the truck market, SEMA was last week. I felt like the truck market was super hot at SEMA.
Well, and that continues to be, just like the Broncos we talked about earlier, the trucks. Doesn't matter if it's Dodge or Chevy or Ford or GMC. This particular truck falls within a range that's referred to now as a square body truck. That was built 73 through 87. And right now, this is one of the hottest truck body styles on the market.
I love this truck.
Fairly recently emerged. You're not the only one, man. This particular one, yeah, from 1982, lightly modified. I would kind of put this one into that high quality driver category, as opposed to, you know, top of the line show car that's so nice, show vehicle, that you're not gonna wanna drive it. This is about as nice as you can get and still be able to drive it. And once again, this one's powered by an upgraded, modern era, computer controlled LS engine, but still retaining that vintage look.
Yeah, it does. It looks like a 1982 pickup truck.
Right.
Let's work our way down here. What are you excited about seeing? When you show up here to Las Vegas, do you look at the docket of cars and say, okay, I can't wait to see this one cross the block? Or do you wait until it's showtime and watch them?
No, I'm always paying attention to what's coming in, taking a look at the website at mecum.com, getting familiar with the inventory, and trying to sort of put my finger on the pulse of what maybe the personality of this auction is going to be about. And what I like about this particular Las Vegas auction is it's not all about the super high-end glitzy entries. There's a lot of entry and mid-level collectibles too. I'm glad we're taking a look at this car. It's 1966 Dodge Charger. Very unusual body style. First year for the famous Dodge Charger, and first year for perhaps the most legendary engine in the performance car world, the mighty Hemi. It debuted the same year the Charger did in 1966. 425 horsepower. The engine is impressive. The body style of this car, it was only a 2-year run, 66 and 7, and that interior with 4 big gauge pods.
And let's get inside, because the interior is something you'd want today. Look at the bucket seats that also fold down to give you plenty of room here in the back for storage space of your groceries or luggage in the back, but the seats fold up. That is so cool.
I was 10 years old when this car came out in 1966, and I thought I was looking at a show car, but it wasn't. It was a production car on the showroom floor, and it's so funny, man. All these years later, I look at this car, and I still feel the same way about it. One of the coolest body styles and interiors of a car from any era.
It really
and
is.
with that optional 426 Hemi, it makes it even cooler.
The hidden headlights on this too. I think the guys from Nevada Classics, I believe this is theirs. It's a local base.
Okay,
car collectors here in town.
Cool, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure, unless there's a second one in town, I'm pretty sure this is theirs. The hidden headlights, top 10 favorite, the way those pop up.
Oh man, no doubt about it, and the way that those gills look on there. This is a very, very special car, and this is another reason what makes Mecum Auctions so cool and so fun. These are cars that literally the baby boomers grew up with, but it gives a chance for those that are not from the baby boomer era to be exposed to the widest possible range of entries, including cars that Gen Xers and millennials might have an interest in, but also maybe to be made aware of cars that kind of shaped the fabric of what vehicles are today. And for those of us that have loved cars our whole lives, that's important to us. We want to keep passing along our love and our passion for these cars.
Yes, absolutely.
And you fit into that.
Thank you.
We have so much fun hanging out with you.
It's a blast. Let's circle back as we head back to kind of where we started from and get you back to, okay, well, let's talk about, this is something kind of, I guess, rare to see here. It looks dirty to me. Is it just because it hasn't been cleaned yet before it hits, or is there a reason why we're looking at a dirty car?
Here's what I like about this. It just hasn't been cleaned up yet.
Okay.
But you know what? Back in the day, let's go back in the day, cars looked like this when they were out on the streets. This is how I remember cars. Now we have a tendency to keep them perfect and flawless at all time, but to see a car with a little bit of patina on it, both under the hood and on the exterior, I don't find anything wrong with that. It looks the way that they're supposed to be, although before this car hits the block, it's going to be detailed. And this is that's a real deal. That's a 1966 Pontiac GTO with that legendary 389 tri-power engine with a 4-speed transmission, just like the song by Ronnie and the Daytonas called GTO. 3 deuces and a 4-speed and a 389. Number 2 hit back in 1964.
You know cars and you know music too, because you're in a band.
I am. You know, it's all the same. It all kind of winds in together. You know, the music of the era, the cars of the era. And of course, I'm not the only one that shares that passion and interest. They all are all intertwined, and it seems to be, you know, the transition to a new generation that can appreciate a lot of what was going on back in the 60s and 70s. They seem to be appreciating it, being open-minded about it, and then in a lot of cases, embracing it.
Yeah.
And that's just so gratifying for a lot of us that eat, live, and breathe this and want to make sure that we are good stewards of it and that we're accurately passing the information along. So far, it's mission accomplished. Not all about selling cars. It's also about being able to share our stories and the reasons why these vintage cars mean so much to us. And you know, nobody does it better than we do.
And you're the best at it. As we say goodbye, we have a split window here, right? 63?
Well, yeah, with a little bit of an interesting twist. Good call on the split window.
Things are modified on this split window.
1 year only, yes, and this is the way a lot. I mean, 63 split window Corvette is an A-lister in the automotive collector world. This one is set up very much like it would have been maybe back in the 70s. Aftermarket wheels, flared fenders, a hopped-up engine, an aftermarket steering wheel. It has a lot of charm and personality. 95% of all the 63 split window Corvettes are restored back to original condition. Every once in a while, we see one in what's referred to as a day 2 presentation, which means that it's got a lot of the popular modifications that were done back in the day. Typically in the 1970s, this one has not yet been restored. It may at some point, or somebody may say, I love the charm of the era this car represents, and I'm leaving it as is, and I'm driving it, and that would be me.
The wheels too. John, man, the professor, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you, my friend.
Show us around and getting a little kind of a behind the scenes peek at Mecum 2023. And if you're watching it this weekend, Mecum Auctions is taking place. And if you're watching this 5 years from now, he's the boss. Thank you, man.
Thank you, brother.
So much. Thank you.
If you want your car, shop, or collection featured on the show, then shoot us an email at carshopsandcollections@gmail.com. That's carshopsandcollections@gmail.com. And thanks for watching, and be sure and subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes of Cars, Shops, and Collections.